Well, good evening and a wonderful warm welcome to this Holy Trinity Wallington CAP Debt Centre launch. It's really lovely to have you. It's really lovely to be joined, seeing the faces of many wonderful guests. Thank you for giving your time this evening, and many people joining us this evening on YouTube from all across the country. It's really lovely to have you. My name's James, and I'm the Vicar of Holy Trinity Wallington, and it's a great privilege for me to kind of be steering us through this evening as we hear about this work of Christians Against Poverty, about what it means, what it involves, and how it may help the life of the community in Wallington and beyond. As a church, as Christians, we believe that the Christianity has something good to say. It has good news of life, even in the midst of death, of freedom in the hope, in even in the midst of slavery, as it were, and hardship, of Jesus, a man who walked the earth, who did miraculous miracles, and who wonderfully restores a relationship with God and transforms people's lives. And at Holy Trinity, our desire is to see people's lives transformed by the Lord Jesus. And this Christians Against Poverty ministry is something that some within our church family have longed to be for decades, as it were. And now, wonderfully, we're really excited that this tonight marks the beginning of this great new initiative. And so we're really thrilled to be supporting and endorsing and helping with this great ministry. And we hope tonight just really gives you a flavour of what it's all about, what it's going to do, and how it may well transform the lives of people who are in debt in our local communities. During the course of the evening, we're going to be hearing from a whole load of different people. But as we begin our time together, Holy Trinity, by the way, is right in the heart of Wallington, on the corner of Manor Road and Malden Road. If you've ever been through there, just down the road from the station and the job centre, now between Sutton Night Watch and the job centre, right at the crux of many who are struggling through life. But as we begin tonight, it's a real honour, Madam Mayor, Trish, to have you with us and to invite you to officially open this new Christians Against Poverty Debt Centre. So Trish, let me hand over to you as you officially open this debt centre for us.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to see so many different agencies, charities represented here tonight. Those speaking and others on Zoom are linking into the live stream. This demonstrates the tremendous heart of passion here in the London Borough of Sutton for the most vulnerable in our society. I myself have a deep concern for individuals and families who are facing difficult circumstances and challenging mental health issues. This is reflected in my two mayoral charities, Home Start Sutton and Sutton Mental Health Foundation. Home Start Sutton provides personal support to families who are struggling, often associated with very low incomes. Many parents feel isolated and suffer low self-esteem and mental health issues. Under normal circumstances, the Mental Health Foundation offers lunch, support and activities aiming to promote well-being. 2020 has been a very challenging year for us all, especially those who are vulnerable. We saw a sudden and sustained increase in those claiming benefits in the borough soon as lockdown started. Despite the vaccination programme now underway, sadly more people are likely to find themselves losing their jobs as furlough schemes come to an end. Unexpected changes of circumstances like this can send people who had previously been managing perfectly well into a spiral of debt. This places huge stresses on individuals and families, often leading to relationship problems and mental health issues. For some, it may seem there is no way out. So I'm really pleased that Christians Against Poverty is opening a debt centre here in Wallington. In 2019 alone, they helped 2,450 people in the United Kingdom to become debt-free, no longer worrying about bailiffs knocking on the door or the next final demand landing on the mat. None of us can create a loving, caring community on our own. So let's support each other. Make London Borough of Sutton a beacon of social justice in a challenging world. So it's with great pleasure, as Mayor of Sutton, I pronounce the Christians Against Poverty Debt Centre open in Wallington tonight.
Thank you very much indeed, Trish. Lots of clapping here on Zoom. Thank you so much indeed for your words and for opening this centre. It's a great privilege that it begins. But I want to invite Karen, who is Christians Against Poverty area manager, to just speak a bit more about Christians Against Poverty and its work. So Karen, thank you for being with us this evening, and lovely to hear from you now.
Thank you, James. Well, it's great to be with you all tonight. A real privilege to be here. And as James just mentioned, I'm the area manager. I'm one of the area managers for London, and I cover South London and oversee all the debt centres and the group services that run in South London. And I've actually been working for CAP for 6 years as a debt coach, and I'm based in the Barnet Debt Centre in North London. And alongside that role for the last 2 years, I've also been the area manager. And I'm so excited to be here at such a challenging time. I think it's so good that there is a way for us and people from all different places to come and launch this exciting project tonight. So thank you, Peter, as well, for inviting me. I'm going to share briefly how CAP works, and Peter's also asked me to share some statistics and just about how the process works with clients. So as I'm sure you all know, there are a lot of great debt advice agencies in the UK. At CAP, our unique selling point is that we offer a face-to-face, non-judgmental service for clients in their home. Although we are a Christian service, we're open to people from all faiths and no faith. At CAP, we realise that debt can be the result of a lot of underlying issues, and so we are keen to signpost clients to other services in the area that we believe could help them. And I know many of you are part of those services that we are keen to refer clients to. And many of our debt centres run CAP money courses that some of you may be aware of. These help people with budgeting, and we currently have a number of online CAP money courses running in the UK. And some of our centres have linked up with the local professionally trained people who are offering pro bono legal services and free counselling services for our clients, which is really exciting and so much needed. Also, through the generous funding of local churches and individuals, we are also able to provide additional support for clients. Things like emergency food shops. One of the first places that we refer clients to who are in real need is the food bank. But obviously the food bank can't always have supplies like fresh milk and bread and meat, fruit and veg. So we will do emergency shop for clients. We're also able to do gas and electric meter top-ups, pay-as-you-go phone top-ups, school uniform and interview clothing. We're able to help provide that as well. Small essential kitchen items like maybe a kettle, and also help with prescription fees for clients. One of the things that we feel that it's important to do on a regular basis is to run client surveys. We try to do this once a year, and we want to be offering the best service we can, but we also want to find out what our clients are really struggling with so that we can meet those needs. And we discovered in a recent client survey that 67% regularly miss meals because they couldn't afford to buy the food for the whole family, and often their children would go without meals, and so that they would go without meals so that their children can be fed, or maybe if they didn't have children, they just didn't have enough to provide food for themselves. And I'm sure some of these statistics will not be a surprise to you this evening. Even this week, we've had a situation with a gentleman in Croydon called our head office, absolutely desperate. A family of 5 had absolutely no food in the house. And we were able to contact a church, and one of their members actually went and bought them some food last night, which they were very grateful for. The Mayor has already mentioned to us about mental health. 40% of our clients said they suffer with mental health, and we are seeing this increase, as we all know. 11% said they had no bed, and 38% of our clients told us that they thought about or had attempted suicide before contacting us. And on average, it takes clients about 3 years before they pick up that phone to ask for debt help. And that is because there is so much shame around being in debt for so many people. So much shame, so much so that they don't even let their nearest family know. So some of those statistics, well, all of them are really sobering and hard to hear, I think. But the good news is, as the Mayor mentioned a little while ago, that we see almost 2,500 people go debt-free each year. And it is so exciting to walk that journey with people and celebrate with them as they go debt-free. So how does that process work? Well, our clients will ring up the free phone helpline number to head office to see if they can get an appointment with their local debt centre, and they will be referred maybe by Home Start, by their housing officer, lots of referral agencies out there. And the debt coach from the local centre will then call them, introduce themselves, and then begin a process over 3 appointments of introducing the service and carrying out a fact-finding exercise to establish the client's income and expenditure and help them put all the paperwork together that's needed, which is then sent off to head office for our trained financial advisors to prepare a budget and their suitable route out of debt. And when the debt coach returns on the final visit to present the budget and the route out of debt, that's the opportunity that the clients have to sign up with us. They then begin to pay into their CAP plan, and all the monies that are paid into their CAP plan are distributed between their creditors, and then we actually put some into savings for them, which they can then call on whenever they need them. Our service is completely free, and clients will never be asked to pay towards this service. And our debt advisors at head office negotiate with all their creditors so they never have to deal with them again. And we support our clients until they go debt free. We have some wonderful befrienders who get alongside those people who are volunteers, and they might take them to appointments, meet up with coffee when it's not COVID, and just really support them in that journey. And at the moment, in a number of our centres, our befrienders are ringing up clients on a weekly basis to make sure they're doing okay. And then finally, we celebrate with our clients when they reach that milestone of going debt-free, and we can see them as they enter on their journey. We're going to see a short video now of Martin Lewis, who many of you will know as a money saving expert, who is a great advocate of CAP. Thank you.
I would define debt crisis in a number of ways. One of them is not being able to make your minimum repayments. Another is having unsecured debts that are bigger than a year's after-tax salary. And the third is, well, they mean you can't sleep at night. Now, if you've got debts and you want someone to functionally help you sort them out, there are many great non-profit debt counselling agencies out there that will sit down with you and do the functional role of helping you. But if you're struggling emotionally too, if you can't cope with the situation that you're in, never mind cope with the finance, so there's an emotional crisis as well as a debt crisis, that's where Christians Against Poverty are superb. Because what they'll do is they'll send someone to you face to face. And that person won't just go through your debts, they'll hold your hand, whether metaphorically or literally. So the feedback I get from people who I've sent to Christians Against Poverty, and I do, is quite simple. The biggest message is, I finally slept last night.
Well, thank you, Karen, and great to hear from Martin of his recommendation and affirmation to the work of Christians Against Poverty. You've met me as the face of Holy Trinity, but I'd now like to introduce to you Peter Brown, who is wonderfully from about 3 minutes ago when Trish opened us, will be the CAP Debt Centre Manager for Holy Trinity Wallington. So, Peter, it'd be lovely to introduce you and hear from you now. Thank you.
Thanks. First of all, I'd just like to thank all of you who have turned up tonight and participating. Really appreciate what you're doing for the Debt Centre and for the community in joining us tonight. There are plenty of other things you could have been doing, like catching up one of those Christmas films or watching Netflix. But so appreciate you being out here on Zoom, and it just shows the fact that there are lots of people who are concerned about those who are needy in our area, and so I appreciate that. So I've been asked why I got involved in Christians Against Poverty, and so as a Christian, I've always been impressed by the fact that when Jesus was here on earth, he always seemed to spend his time with those who were marginalized, those who are poor and powerless, rather than going so much to the rich and those who thought they were something. But throughout my life, I've been sort of working in engineering, largely on the railways, and sort of focusing on projects rather than, I feel like, on people. And yet, certainly in my heart, I've wanted to sort of be involved in helping people that haven't really done a great deal, to be honest, in my working career. So what I've been doing when I came to retirement, I thought actually it would be a good thing to change my focus from just running projects to being much more people focused, and to start caring for those who have the greatest need, those who find life actually quite a struggle for one reason or another. And so when it came to retirement, I took some time out to think about what God wanted me to do with that time that I had. So my wife and I spent some time focusing on that. And when our vicar, James, suggested opening up a CAP Debt Centre, I thought it'd be an ideal opportunity, both for us as a church, to care better for the people in our community, and also that I would become the Debt Centre Manager to run the service. And I must admit, as I found out more and more about CAP, I've been very impressed with the way that they do things, that because they are so keen to see people actually get out of debt, they strive for excellence in the work that they do, which is visible in the efficiency of the systems that they operate, and in their day-to-day commitments to both, to us as people who are trying to work with the clients in making sure that we're properly supported, but also in generating that whole ethos throughout the organisation, that the clients are of real value, because they believe that, as I believe, that each of us is precious in God's sight. We want to see each of them flourish. And so, just to finish off, I just like to say I'm looking forward to working with many of you in the future, as you all are trying to do something in our community to support those who are least advantaged. So thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Peter, and wonderful to see a much more beautiful face than mine for the work of Christians Against Poverty, and wonderful to have you on board. But Holy Trinity Wallington isn't the first in the local area to take this initiative. It's lovely to have Rona. I think, Rona, you're here, from the CAP Debt Centre in Sutton. And Rona, it'd be lovely to hear about your work over there. So thank you, Rona, for sharing with us now.
Oh, right, lovely. Yes, I just want to say how thrilled we are as a centre that Wallington is coming on board. I've met with Peter, some of my team has, yeah, we've just been going about 12 years in Sutton. We've seen the demand for our services grow. At the moment in Sutton, we provide a debt centre, a job club, and we're hoping to bring on board life skills this year. But we've seen the demand for our services just grow exponentially. And as a local centre, I've managed to move from just 2 debt coaches to 3, which meets some demand, but desperation really is out there. And the lovely thing about where Peter will be based in Wallington is that it's so close to a real key area of deprivation. And so, yeah, really looking forward to working alongside another centre. We believe in Sutton really that we're part of a whole. So we're going to be meeting regularly with Peter just to share some of the good ideas we've got and equally encourage and support him in anything he's doing. And just on a personal note, in a minute, I think we're going to be showing, or you're going to be showing a video of one of our ex-clients. The lovely thing about the story of helping people through debt, when you bring them from absolute despair, and you'll hear about that in Sharon's story soon, is that once they come through that, you can still have a relationship with them. And Sharon now is one of our greatest advocates in our centre in Sutton. She's gone from somebody that knew nothing about God, a really tough life, to somebody now who lives and breathes CAP, who talks openly and shares about how Jesus has changed her life to people, even in the supermarket. And the lovely thing about her testimony when she shares is that it's so real because she's lived it. And so she can captivate people's imaginations and not only draw them to wanting to know about a God who cares for them, but she can also share about what CAP has done personally for her in transforming her life. So people that we help can end up by turning their lives around and being advocates to help other people in the same situation. That's my short little intro because I know time's short. Thank you.
Thanks, Raina. Well, let's watch Sharon's story now and hear of how CAP has turned her life around.
Back in the past when I was all on my own, I mean, I thought that there was never any hope and it was always dark. I never thought like God would ever be able to use someone like me. Even though like things that's happened to me, it still felt like God had his hand on me through the situations that I've been in. So to me, that's always been my dark side of my life. It's, yeah, sometimes it catches up with me, but now it seems like now I'm living in a brighter, more bigger, more colourful life. So to me it is like night and day.
My ex-partner wouldn't let me have any money, so that's the reason why I had to take out loans, and he was taking out loans in my name as well, so yeah, it was all down to me. That's how I started to get myself in trouble. It was because I had 7 kids. That's one of the reasons back then how I why I couldn't do work, because I was all either pregnant or they was all still little and I couldn't work, and I felt I was stupid anyway because he used to tell me I was stupid, I was fat, I was ugly. And he used to manipulate me like that, so I was underneath his control until I used to run away for a little while, go into a hostel. And then he used to turn up outside the hostels, and the hostels couldn't have the other women in there frightened, and I had to go back to him. I had nowhere to go with the 7 kids. So, and then that's when I started to get like private place to live in. And then of course, as soon as I got that, that's when the letters started coming. Letitia actually answered the door to the bailiffs, and they come into the house. I hid in the bedroom, on the bedroom floor, curled up in the corner, while they was actually taking my stuff out the house. So hard for me to actually see that happen, and they were saying, "Mummy, help us. These men are taking our stuff." I was saying to them, "You can take the washing machine, you can take that, but just can you leave the kids' stuff alone?" They wouldn't. Sorry. I hate going back there. I didn't want to live no more. How am I going to get out of this situation? And then I met this lovely lady called Esther. She was amazing, absolutely amazing. And I started telling her bits about my story of my life and stuff like that. And she said, "Oh, I can help you. This come through today." She goes, "I'm meant to help with your debts and there's not a cost. It's done by a charity." I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, that can't be true." So she goes, "Right, I'm going to put your name forward." But it seemed like it just happened just like that. It happened in weeks. And I was like, wow. And I had my first appointment, and Catherine, when she come in, she could see there was no lights in the sitting room, the curtains was closed. I had 3 bags of the Shop for Life bags and big bags. I had 3 of them full of letters that's not even been opened. And yeah, and Carol and Catherine said, "Don't worry, we'll sort through them." And then just before they was leaving, they said, "Can we pray with you?" I've never prayed before in my life, never. And the warmth that come off of them two when they was praying for me was unbelievable. The only thing I could do was curl up and cry, because I just felt like, wow, what has just happened to me? I just felt so warm, and I felt like how much they actually cared for me. They gave me all the options, they gave me everything, every inch of the way. They was just in contact with me. Catherine was in contact with me, telling me what was going on, everything. I was constantly with her. Like, she didn't leave me. She didn't leave my side, or did Carol. I've been debt free now for about just over 6 years, and them 6 years has been the best. I've got to say, the best time of my life, because I've got family, I've got friends, I've got all sorts of stuff now, and I've actually got a life. I'm walking my life with God, and yeah, it's amazing.
Well, wonderful to hear, isn't it, of how someone's life turned around. 3 shopping bags full of unopened debt letters to now being that lady that Rona knows personally. Amazing, wonderful to hear. And we hope that will be the case for many people in this local community. But I'd like to introduce to you a lady, Jean, because Holy Trinity isn't the first to venture into CAP. Jean is from Springfield Church, just down the road in Wallington. Jean, it's lovely to have you here with us this evening. Jean, I wonder if you might share a little bit of your journey with CAP and your involvement in CAP in Wallington.
Yeah, sure. I've heard Sharon's story before, and I always well up a little bit. So I'm thinking, how can I follow that? Because that's just such a wonderful story. So I'm Jean Greamer, and as James said, from Springfield Church. And my team and I are volunteers running the CAP Money course, which is a basic budgeting course for adults, children, and uni students. But also we run a job club. And we started our CAP Job Club in 2017. And I'm going to boast a bit now. It's not very Christian biblical apparently, but I'm going to do it anyway. 45.9% of our clients, so let's say 46, have found work through coming through Job Club. And I think the national average for job clubs is about 35%. So I'm very happy to shout out about that one. But as Karen explained about CAP, how they deal with debt has a sort of unique selling point. It's the same with our job clubs, it's not just about helping people to get into work with the practical things. So we recognise that particularly long-term unemployment can lead to isolation and loneliness, lack of confidence, low self-esteem. And so in the Steps to Employment course and the one-to-one coaching that we do, we also have community time. So a hot meal together, time to chat, build relationships, have a good laugh, make friends. And we always make sure that we celebrate every achievement that someone has, no matter how small. It could be they get a job, which is a big achievement, or it could be that they just actually apply for one after not having done so for 6 months, a year, 2 years. So we celebrate every little achievement. Since lockdown last March, we haven't been able to meet in person for our job clubs, but we've kept in touch by phone or email with people and offered help with CVs and mock interviews. I just want to give you something from a couple of clients. One called me soon after we had our online session that was all about interviews, how to prepare for an interview, and phoned me a few days later and said, I've just had an offer for an interview for a job that I'd forgotten I'd applied for. So that was excellent news. So he used some of the things that he'd learned on the course, and we also gave him an online mock interview, and he's now happily working, I'm pleased to say. That's just one little story. But this year we gave out Christmas hampers to our clients, the clients from the last 2 job clubs that we've run. And I got this email from one of them, and part of it says, yesterday I had such a lovely surprise when I opened my door to see Audrey bearing gifts. I was speechless and overwhelmed by the generosity and thoughtfulness shown to me by you and all at CAP Job Club and Springfield Church. I'm so glad I joined Job Club. The course restored my confidence and gave me motivation to think differently. Since completing the course, I formed a partnership with my cousin. With the help of financial support, we have designed a nightwear range to sell online. So if anybody's after some nightwear, I do have the link to her online site. Not for the gents, this one. But just about, we've been doing CAP, and I've worked with Rona over the last few years, but it was about 4 that I first heard about the CAP Debt Centre in Sutton. And what they told me was that they had a 3-month waiting list of 13 people needing CAP's help. So those 13 people were going to have to wait for 3 months. And from that moment, I started to hope and pray that we could also have a debt centre in Wallington to share the load, as it were, within the borough. We wish we didn't need debt centres, job clubs, that everything was fine, but we do need them. And so that was my hope and my prayer. I also talked, some might say, pestered a few church leaders about it. And so I'm just really delighted that today's launch of the Wallington CAP Debt Centre. I'm really looking forward to working with Peter and his team of volunteers at Holy Trinity, and it's just a great day. It's like something's come full circle for me, and I'm glad to be part of it. And welcome Peter and James and all at Holy Trinity. It's really good.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jean, so much for sharing your story. And it's wonderful that there's a suite of resources that we're able to provide for people in Wallington. It's lovely this evening to have Mark from Sutton Community Works with us. Mark working across the borough in a number of different ways. Just before I hand over to Mark, just let me say that as we come towards the end of the evening, if there's any questions that you have with me in the meeting that you can see them, please put them in the chat. If you want to ask anything from how does it work, or how do we do this, how do we signpost people, if you're on YouTube and you're there, perhaps you could leave a comment in the comments section, or if you're feeling extra technological, you can drop us a line at live@htchurch.uk if there's anything you want to know more of. But Mark, it's really lovely to have you here with us. We know how much you're doing with Sutton Community Works to help the most needy in people, and it'd be lovely to hear from you and the part that this CAP Debt Centre will play in all that's going on in your world. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, James. Really good to be here tonight. Really exciting to participate in this. And I think the one word that has been on my heart for this year, and I keep hearing it tonight, is hope. You know, I think we all need hope at the moment, don't we, in the world? And I think the stories we're hearing tonight, you know, Sharon's story and the stories we heard about the stats from Karen and also from Rona, it's all about giving hope and giving hope to individuals that things can be different and things can change. And some communities which we run projects like street pastors and winter shelter for the homeless, and we run a food bank, and we've just launched a new community food shop for people struggling on low income. And it's just been amazing. That's been going for a month, and we're seeing people come in and just seeing hope in people's faces and people's lives. So one of the things that we see with the food bank and with the food shop is one of the major causes for people coming is low income and debt. So 60% of the people that come to us because they're struggling on low income or have debt issues. So, you know, we have worked with CAP, with Rona particularly over the years, and you know, absolutely fully support everything CAP do. I mean, it's a wonderful initiative and charity, you know, seeking to deal with issues like debt and unemployment. I mean, that's an amazing statistic from June. You know, 45.9 or was it 46%? You know, fantastic. And the nightwear range as well sounds brilliant. I think it's really fantastic what they're doing. They're bringing hope into people's lives, and so we really support that. And I think for me, the one thing that stands out about CAP as well is, and something we as a charity seek to aspire to, is that we believe that humans are made in the image of God, and that we believe that humans can be transformed through the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we're not just giving food to people, we're not just solving their debt problems, we're not just signposting, but we're actually dealing with their real full human beings to make them flourish in the fullest possible way. So I really support CAP in everything they do, and to use the words of some Americans, I just want to say, God bless CAP, because it's a fantastic initiative. So God bless Rona, God bless Peter, God bless Jean for all that you're doing. Totally with you and totally behind you, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mark, so much. And we continue to pray for your work and the work of food banks, which are equally as sadly necessary and vital, and street pastors and all that's going on in Sutton Community Works. It's lovely to be joining together with many people and initiatives. It's lovely. We were going to have someone from the Job Centre, but I'm not sure whether Richard's here with us. Is anyone here from the Job Centre this evening? We were going to hear from Richard about Job Centre at Wallington and how CAP can fit into the range of support that they're actually able to signpost people to from as they meet people perhaps at their most vulnerable, and they're able to point people to. Equally, we were going to have Tracy, but Yvonne, were you going to say anything on Tracy's behalf? He said about the housing partnership at all. Sorry if that's put you on the spot. Please shake your head if you don't want to say anything.
No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us. Certainly in terms of the work that we're doing in the borough, and Mark will be aware that we're looking to set up a similar scheme to the Sutton Community Food Shop. And the purpose of that scheme is to address underlying issues within the communities as to the reason why people need to access surplus food. So what we're doing with those residents is looking at issues around unemployment, skills, debt. So certainly we will be working with our housing managers to refer into this service, and I'm aware that we've been working with Christians Against Poverty for many years, but I'd be really interested to receive the referral process from Peter, and as I say, we'd be promoting it with our housing managers and looking at how we can signpost and refer residents into the service. And this is been a really valuable meeting, so thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne, very much indeed. And actually, with Rona here and her experience at Sutton, Rona, I wonder if you just may, on Richard's behalf, speak about how you guys liaise with the job centre there.
Yes, thank you. Actually, the liaison with the Job Centre Plus had been our biggest referral area. And what we were able to do, it did stop during lockdown, but they were so gracious as to give us access to a room where we could man desks on a certain day. I think Jean has done that more latterly. And what they were doing was referring their clients direct to us on a certain day as they were going in to sign on. And we were able to share what we do and actually offer them the phone to ring up and get referred. And the reason why that was so key is that quite often you can give people one of our leaflets, and for the moment they feel empowered to do something about it, but they go home and it gets lost. So to have a venue where you've got your nice captive audience and to explain to them the process, which is always self-referral, so that they don't feel in one sense pressurized, but by the same token, by encouraging them when you're with them, you get the job done for them, because quite often they'll have limited access to minutes on their phone to make calls, and even though it's a free phone number, sometimes they haven't got a phone to make that call from. So the Job Centre Plus, as I say, is a brilliant referral agency for us, because the majority of the people that we see, unfortunately, are on universal credit. So yeah, Richard, who heads up Job Centre Plus in Wallington, has been very key. So I hope for you, Peter, that that relationship will grow. If you're able to get somebody there to man a desk when that's up and open again, I would really just encourage that.
Wonderful. And as you're there, Rona, Trisha's just asked, how many clients normally a year do you normally help at Sutton?
Yeah, based on availability, that's our availability. I serve alongside two other coaches. One was recruited 2 years ago, one just the last few months. Both my coaches can see one person a month because they work 1 day a week. I see two a month because I work 2 days a week as a debt coach, and 1 day a week as a job centre manager. So we see 4 at the moment per month, but our ideal, our vision is to try and increase that to perhaps 6 or 8, but that would be needing to employ 2 more coaches. So we're looking for anybody that wants to get involved. There's a need and there is such reward in doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rona, very much indeed. And Peter, sorry, just to put you on the spot, so does that work out of your availability? How many clients are you able to see as you begin this work?
Well, I'm trying to start off reasonably slowly, hoping to ramp up to maybe, I don't know, 3 or so, maybe 3, maybe 4 a month. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to get to the point where now I'm not dealing with each one properly. So I'm just taking it gently, but hopefully by seeing 3 a month.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we're going to, in a moment, we'll sort of, we'll move towards a close officially, that if anyone needs to disappear, but we are going to hang around to have an opportunity to ask questions. We've got Karen as an area manager, Rona as a practitioner in Sutton. We've got various agencies here. People may well be sending in their questions there. So if there's any questions you want to ask, however silly, then please, well, do it. But it's lovely, Councillor Steve, that you're with us this evening. It's lovely, Elliot, as our MP, to have you with us. And I just wanted to invite you just to finish off formally our time together and hear from you of the part CAP may play in all that's going on in the local area.
Thank you, James, and it's a real pleasure to be here and to formally close this incredible launch event this evening, even if only virtually. But I first came into contact with Christians Against Poverty around 10 years ago, when I spent a brief period working with vulnerable people who fell into debt in financial services. And a story from that time has really stuck with me, so much so that 10 years later, as a Member of Parliament, I routinely refer people who are struggling with their finances to Christians Against Poverty to go and seek help. And this was about a woman who had come to me who had suffered a relationship breakdown, who had 3 very young children, who unfortunately had also just been diagnosed with cancer. And for this woman, her debts were racking up and she felt totally out of control. And after being referred to Christians Against Poverty, she came back several weeks later and she said, I feel like a mist has been lifted. I feel back in control of my life. I think I'm on the right track. And that story about how that woman was able to come from such a dark place into feeling back in control of her life has stuck with me all of these years. So I'm immensely happy that we have got a new branch opening up in Wallington, and can I thank everyone at Holy Trinity for making that possible. It's an absolutely incredible moment, and we've heard from other speakers already about how difficult 2020 has been as a year, and how unfortunately we may see demand for services like Christians Against Poverty rise as we come out the other end of this pandemic. So it's going to be an incredibly important tool. And I was asked to close tonight by talking a bit about how the community can work together. And I want to pick up on what Karen and Jean and Rona and James have said already, which is about not just the debt advice, but everything else that Christians Against Poverty offers in terms of help and support to a vulnerable person. Because as we know, debt is only one thing that is likely to be troubling a person at any one time. And as I already said, with a woman who I saw 10 years ago, she had a number of other issues going on at the same time. People could be dealing with mental health problems. They could be dealing with physical health problems. They could be dealing with relationship breakdown. They could be fleeing domestic abuse. And I think the real success story of Christians Against Poverty is that it has recognised the need to pull all of these services together, work closely with local community organisations, work closely with the Job Centre, for example. And that, I think, is where its success lies. It recognises the need to look at everything, not just at one thing in particular. So I'm deeply, deeply happy that we have a new Christians Against Poverty branch opening up in Wallington, and I hope to come and see it in person for myself very, very soon. So congratulations to everyone who has put this on, and thank you for inviting me this evening.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elliot, very much indeed. And thank you for your advocacy for Christians Against Poverty in Parliament. And we'll pray for you in your work of trying to work really hard to help many people struggling in the whole constituency and across the country. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening, whether here in this meeting in Zoom or whether joining us on YouTube. It's wonderful to have you with us. On Sunday, we'll be officially launching it as a church and praying for Peter as he begins that work. We'd love you to join us. You probably want to do that at the moment virtually, and you can do that off our YouTube page or our website, Holy Trinity, htchurch.uk. But as we draw to a close, let me just encourage you, those that haven't met Peter, Peter will make his details freely available and would love to hear from you of how he could play his part in any people that you may meet. It's lovely to hear this evening of being able to link up with Sutton Housing Partnership, of being able to do those things as well. But we've got a few questions that have come in. One is from YouTube and is about links with the Citizens Advice Bureau in Parkgate Road. Peter, I wonder whether you may answer that, sir, about whether we have any links and what relationship and what help CAP could be alongside their work.
Sorry, I missed who you said again.
It was the Citizens Advice Bureau.
Oh, right, yes. So Citizens Advice Bureau, I think in most cases, because Citizens Advice Bureau do provide a debt service of their own. So I think in many cases, it's likely that we'll be referring to them for other services that they provide, because they provide a good rounded service in some areas that we don't provide. But yeah.
Fantastic. Rona, have you, Karen, is anything you wanted to add about work with Citizens Advice Bureau? Just wave at me furiously if you do, Rona.
I'm actually acutely aware that I need to be advertising CAP a little bit more in Sutton, because people have shown me some leaflets that are prepared from the council, have got lots of agencies on them, and we're missing. So I think also the Citizens Advice Bureau comes up quite a lot, and no mention of CAP. So for one, hands up, I need to do a little bit more liaising so that our profile is raised for the general public to know that we're there as an alternative. And the interesting thing is, or I think one of our great selling points, is that we work through to seeing people out of debt right the way through. Whereas some agencies used to fall short, they get them so far and then hand over to people. So yeah, I need to make certainly the Sutton CAP a little bit more known and have our leaflets up at Citizen Advice Bureau. Thank you.
I could just say something on that as well. I know that I think it was sometime during 2019, at a national level, CAP and Citizens Advice Bureau do have some sort of partnership, which was being filtered down, but it's sort of early days, and because of, well, 2020, so that's something that we can perhaps pick up on again once we get out of lockdowns and the tears stop crying.
Thank you, Jean. Karen, did you want to say anything? Sorry. Yep.
I work quite closely with the Citizens Advice actually, and we can, at CAP, in head office, our debt advisors there will do benefit checks for clients, but we're not benefits advisors. And actually, I find it really helpful to link in with Citizens Advice and refer clients to them, and they've been really, really helpful. So for me, that's a really good connection. I think to work alongside them is great.
Thank you, Karen, very much indeed. It's lovely to have the guys from Inspire, the Drug and Alcohol Services for Sutton Borough, here this evening, and hear a little bit of their work with Rona over in Sutton, and to think linking up with Peter to enable that to happen. So Darren, thank you for coming and joining us. We really look forward to joining up and connecting there. Was there any other questions from those that I can see that they wanted to ask? If so, wave at me. I'm not sure if there's any other questions that we've had come in from YouTube. If not, thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you for giving up your evening. Thank you for those that we know are very busy with many other things. We hope this evening has encouraged you and inspired you. Thank you for your support of us as a church in many ways. Thank you for your support of people like Sharon. And it's as we see through the eyes of somebody like that, that all of us, no matter what part we're doing, feel a sense of joining together to be able to help perhaps those that couldn't even help themselves, and see their lives turned around and transformed. And we know many here listening do that in so many other ways, and we're just thrilled to be able to play our part in one way of doing that. We covet your prayers if you're a praying person as we begin this work, and for Peter as he starts, that he, like your enthusiastic responses this evening, may find that as he liaises with many of our local agencies to try and help people find out about the work of Christians Against Poverty. I'm going to close our time with a prayer, and then I'll leave you to go and enjoy whatever Netflix or BBC iPlayer or YouTube you fancy to inspire you through lockdown, or to go back to the email trail that you left to join us this evening. Let me pray. Father in heaven, thank you very much indeed for this new venture. We thank you for the way you're turning people's lives around like Sharon. And we do pray that you'd help all of us to play our part in seeing many lives transformed. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Lovely to see you. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
But I just lost all hope, to be honest, that it wasn't going to happen for me. No one was going to help me, and I was doomed.
I did attempt suicide in the brinks of despair. I did. I think for a year I just carried on drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking.
I counted the job applications one year, over 500 job applications.
I didn't want to be around my children. I just didn't want to live anymore. I couldn't see a way out.
I wanted to kill myself, so, I took overdoses.
Tried nothing really, and nothing to look forward to.
If I was very lucky, I'd wake up in my flat. If not, 9 times out of 10, it was in Durrington police station.
It becomes one big blur.
So low for
we had bailiffs at the door a
where
lot.
You just don't care about literally anything.
I wanted my life gone.
The debts were so bad.
Why don't they get a job?
I remember saying, if there is a God, please help, because I need
Came about the release group because I contacted CAP and I said I had issues with addictions, especially around drink. Where the actual group was based was actually in a church, and I'll be honest, it might have been the fact I knew that I'd probably have something to eat there and a drink that got me through the door. The guy that ran it was brilliant, and through the weeks we looked at all different topics like anger, forgiveness, and it worked, and it did work for me. Since I found God, any situation I go into now, I believe he's there. I mean, he's here right now. Before the release group, I was drinking pretty much every weekend. So since the release group, not touched a drop.
I'd been out of work for a long period of time, and I thought I'd heard everything. So we did this interview session. I had a real interview the following day. Every question that we'd gone over was asked me again that day, and it was so easy. It was such a breeze. I was so relaxed. I believe that's one of the reasons that I got the job. And most of the people that I started with are good friends, and most of them have jobs. Since I become involved with CAP, I became a Christian, which I didn't expect. So a fantastic. Lord's with us all the time. A wonderful life.
I went along to St John's and I met Emma, and I remember walking through St John's Church, and there was an instant connection. I felt absolutely at peace. I was frightened because I knew I had so much paperwork and debt. I didn't know what to expect or where to begin, to be honest with you. And she sat me down, and she was absolutely so kind and just made me feel at ease. And we started our journey. I remember actually helping me with food as well that day, because I had no food. The bankruptcy was all filed and filled out at head office, which was amazing. It was in 2 packs, and one was for me and one was for the bankruptcy. And then Emma and I went up to the court. It was amazing, just the weight lifting. And today I'm full of the Holy Spirit, and I do believe this is God's will. And I feel that I've always had a hole in my soul and my life, but it's been fulfilled now. So I feel I have peace of mind, and I feel quite content. And I'm really grateful, really, really grateful for Christians Against Poverty, because without them, I wouldn't be here today.
I have a clean, sober life. I don't smoke anymore. I have my family back. I have a contact with my mum and dad that I've never had. We get on, we laugh about so much stuff, there's no arguments. And I believe that had I not made the decision of contacting CAP, probably would never have got that. So thank you, CAP.
Yeah, the CAP job's brilliant. There's something for everybody that's out of work. And since I got a job within the first month, absolutely fantastic. New life, new leaf, all systems go. I'm a Christian and I love it. I'm a happy Christian. So thanks a lot out there, all you people at CAP.
Since meeting Christians Against Poverty, I've found a faith which I'm truly grateful for. I'm debt-free, I don't drink anymore. I've got my family back, I'm a nan. I worship every Sunday and I'm so happy to go forward for the rest of my life debt-free and happy. And for that I'm truly grateful. Would you consider giving £12 a month to Christians Against Poverty to change somebody's life like mine forever? Thank you.